Hey guys, Little Ray here again. Had a farmer last night bring us 2 dead goats. I've mentioned this before, a lot of people know this. We get a lot of farmers, they give us dead chickens, we get dead goats, sometimes we get young pigs, and drop them off. So these goats are just young goats that have passed away. Certainly not for everybody. I should warn everybody, there's a dead goat in here. And as much as it's very sad that the goat has died, for us, we're able to actually feed them to our snakes. So I'm gonna hop in here. This is Boots. Boots came from Nova Scotia. Oh, hey, sweetie. Okay. Here, baby. And now if I move it, once she starts to grab it, even though it's dead, if I move the goat, and if I kind of scratch her, she'll actually think that the goat's alive. And I'm not teasing her. If anything, I'm just trying to get her to continue to wrap around it the same way she would if it was a live goat. So that makes her, for lack of a better term, kind of flex her muscles. And it's hard to see from in here, but Boots is just over 17 feet long. She's kind of all through here, comes back around here, and runs all the way along here. A little bit of shed skin in here from her. Back to here, so there's a nice big pool over there. Certainly enjoys some branches and stuff for climbing in the habitat. I'm just gonna move this a little bit more for her. You can see even me just touching and how much she starts to squeeze it. And now we're just gonna give her a few minutes. It's probably been about 8 minutes. Even though the goat is dead, the snake instinctively holds on to it. And if anything, if they're eating something that we're giving them is already dead, they'll sometimes hold on to it even longer, because when they wrap around something, they're waiting for something to change. They're waiting for the heart to stop beating, for the animal to stop breathing, stop struggling. The fact that it really didn't struggle very much, sometimes they'll hold on to it a little bit longer than had it been an actual live goat. We don't feed live animals to our snakes. We don't have to. Some people say we thought that snakes only ate live food. Certainly this is true in the wild, in their natural habitat. Snakes are ambush predators. And how often would a snake actually come across an animal that has just died of natural causes? If there's a small rodent or something, the reality is in their natural habitat that small rodents, when they start to get sick, there's tons of predators out there that will pick on animals when they're starting to get weak. So the idea of just dying of old age in the forest is really not something that happens, especially for animals that are traditionally prey items. The second they slow down, there is something that has evolved to pick up on that and take them out. That's the reason that it's just not natural for them to be eating things that are already dead. They simply don't come across animals that are dead. However, this is a goat that is, by all means, it was fresh. The goat had passed away. It was kept cool, brought here. We were able to warm it up a little bit. I was able to move it. The snake can see the goat moving. It can tell that the goat is giving off heat, has heat sensing pits, and it smells like a goat. If something is moving, giving off heat, and smells like a goat, what is it? It's a goat. So this snake thinks that the goat is alive, grabs it, wraps around it, and now she's starting to eat it. Now, ironically enough, the fastest part for this is not kind of the beginning where it's smaller. It's once she passes the shoulders, and we're gonna see this. So right now she's trying to kind of get the head of the goat back into her neck. Once she gets past the shoulders, which is the first wide part, you can almost see there's actually like a bump here. So once she passes that, she's gonna be able to start to use the muscles in her neck to pull the food back into her stomach. We're gonna see this. Now I'm gonna tell you guys, there are a ton of myths and misconceptions in the natural world. And I think maybe one of the biggest misconceptions in all of nature has to do with snakes and how snakes can eat something that is sometimes 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times the size of their head. Snakes whose heads are this big are swallowing things that are this big. And if I ask most people how do they do this, I'll tell you right off the bat, number one answer that comes out. How do you think they do it? Many people think that snakes can dislocate their jaws. They hear that snakes can dislocate their jaws. This is a myth. It is not true, and it's probably one of the oldest myths in the natural world. Because when I say dislocate their jaws, if you were to touch your top jaw, everyone touches their top jaw, and you touch your bottom jaw, you can also touch and feel where your top jaw and your bottom jaw attaches. Well, you can watch this snake eat, and you can almost see at the side, you can watch her bottom jaw start to drop down. You can see it start to drop down. And people used to think that snakes were actually detaching their jaws when they're doing that. They're not. Snakes have 2 extra bones in their jaw, which attach their bottom jaw to their skull. If you guys pretend that this finger is the extra bone, and this finger is the bottom jaw, when a snake opens its mouth, it opens like this. Their jaw is literally a hinge. So they have an extra bone that attaches to their bottom jaw, and this hinge allows a snake like Boots here to open her mouth a full 180 degrees. Very impressive, still not big enough to swallow a huge animal. So how is it that snakes can swallow something that's so big? Everybody, touch your bottom jaw right in the middle here. This is the most important adaptation for snakes to eat something big. Our bottom jaw is attached in the middle. All other animals that have skeletons that we think of all have their bottom jaws attaching in the middle, like this. Snakes' bottom jaw don't attach in the middle. They have separate bones on the left and the right. They have separate muscles on the left and on the right. And when their bottom jaw drops down, it can actually open wide, wide, wide in the middle. Here, this is where the separation is happening. They have separate muscles on the left and the right, separate bones on the left and the right, and when their jaw drops down, it just opens wide, wide, wide in the middle. They'll actually walk their bottom jaw up and wrap their top jaw over. Separate muscles and bones, drops down, opens wide. She's walking her bottom jaw up and wrapping her top jaw over again. But make no mistake, it's not detaching here. Their jaw just simply never attaches in the middle. Now, she is kind of coming over a little bit. I have to be a little bit careful. Not that I'm worried about her hurting me. Right now, don't worry if we can't see this very well, because as she gets past the shoulders, this is the most difficult part, not the biggest part of the goat for her. The biggest part will be towards the back. So right now she's fighting a little bit. I'm not worried about her necessarily wrapping around my leg from a safety standpoint or anything else. Oh, here she goes. So she has just put her top jaw over top of the chest bone that she has, which has changed the angle. Right now she was trying to get the left side of her face around it, but now she's got the top of her jaw over this almost peak that's formed in the chest of this goat. And now she's wrapping her top jaw and her bottom jaw. Like, I can see this where I can perfectly, but you guys are gonna see this as well. Probably about 4 more minutes until she gets past that. But people ask me, well, where's her stomach? Well, much like us, her stomach is pretty much in the middle of her body. So if I look at how she's all wrapped up, it's right around here. I don't need to tell you her stomach, like lots of things with the snake, is very elastic. So it's gonna kind of stretch as it goes in there. And from the time she eats to the time she digests it and actually goes to the bathroom is usually about 7 to 10 days before she has her first bowel movement. I'm just gonna pull the legs of the goat this way just a bit, which is actually gonna make it a tiny bit easier for her to get past, just so she can get it in there a little bit faster. I should mention, this is obviously a snake that has lived with people its entire life. If this was a wild snake and we were in here touching it like this, she would immediately let go. But she's very used to people. She is certainly a very large animal. She's not nervous around people at all. So the idea of us kind of being gently and touching her, she doesn't mind. We do have to keep in mind, though, instinctively, you know, when the snake has something in its mouth, it's when they're most vulnerable. And contrary to popular belief, she can let this go in probably about 2 seconds. If she decides that I'm making her nervous, she will simply let go of the goat and then be in more of a defensive posture. Snakes protect themselves with their mouths. But getting back to the stomach, middle of the snake, about 7 to 10 days. She can digest all of this goat. People are like, how do they digest the bones? Well, she can digest the bones. The bones are no problem for her. The same way we kind of can eat calcium and digest bones. Like if you ate a small bone, I mean, technically if you swallowed a mouse, you would be able to digest the bones. But there's something that you cannot digest, much like this snake. She cannot digest keratin in an animal. So teeth, she cannot digest an animal's teeth, and she cannot digest keratin. So things like the hooves, the fur. If we feed a snake a goat that has horns, she can't digest the horns either. So when they go to the bathroom, and people say, well, what does it look like? And her bum is kind of right back there. But when we call that on a snake, it's vent. Unlike us, where we poo and kind of pee from different places, they have one opening that she defecates and urinates from. And when it comes out, people are like, what does it look like? I'm like, it looks like a piece of poo. Maybe that's a video for the future. A whole video on different types of reptile poo and what it looks like, because it's kind of cool. And for some of these snakes, you know, they'll have a poo that's about this big. It looks like a piece of poo, and it will come out. And if you actually break it apart and look at it in a week and a half from now, maybe we'll look at this poo a week and a half from now, and you guys can see what it looks like. And if we break it apart, we're actually going to find the teeth of this little goat. We'll find the hooves, and if you really start to look at it, you'll be able to see the white fur of the goat. So she is kind of, again, slowly working through this so she can digest the whole thing. All the meat, all the bones, all the organs are all fully digested. If anybody has any questions, even as you're watching this right now, obviously you can make comments, you can post them below. I have a lot of stuff that I'm still going to cover with her eating right now. And again, she's almost past those 2 legs. And I'm going to see, I know from experience, if I put my hand in here and she feels it and she starts to squeeze it, what I have to be a little bit careful with is her feeling like my pulse. If she feels my pulse, she might think the goat is kind of alive and start to kind of wrap around it and slow down again. But I'll tell you, of all the things we ever get to show people, and we, for people who've been to the zoo when we're open, this is something we used to do every single day, multiple times a day, was to feed a snake to show people how their jaws work. I really think it's one of the very coolest things that we ever did when we are able to be open to the public. And I'm only doing this, guys. She can obviously work this out. And even right now, it might be hard to see but you can see her now that she's kind of getting the goat in here. You can see her muscles in her neck start to pull their way up. She's pulling it, and then she's going to grab onto it using the muscles in her neck. Come on, sweetie. Here she goes. I can see her pulling the muscles up. And now she's going to grab onto the goat. Here she goes. She's grabbing the goat using the muscles in her neck right now. And she's about to do it. And she's going to extend one side. She just did the right side. And now the right side's going up. Now the left side is coming up. Oh, there we go. We are probably about a moment away from her getting past the front part of the legs. I'm just going to hold this here for one more sec. Again, she can do this no problem on her own, but in the hopes of making this go faster. You can really see her pulling her neck up now. Now she's grabbing on, and now this is where it starts to go fast because she's using the muscles in her neck. Look at how much progress she just made. Watch this. I think she's going to get this side of her face over this right now. This is not a big meal for her. It is probably, here it goes. You can see the left side come up. Now another question people will ask, how are snakes breathing when they're doing this? And you can see her nostrils. Snakes can breathe through their nose, just like we can, but only when their mouth is closed. And I'm going to show this to you. Another very important adaptation if you're a snake. Watch this. The right side just went up. Watch, she's holding on to it. Moving her neck up, she's grabbing it. I think right now she's going to get the left side of her face over it. Oh, almost. Man, once she gets that in there, it's going to go super fast. I'm not too sure how long it's been. It's probably been about 15 minutes that she's been trying to eat this, and she's not at the biggest part. She's just at the most difficult part for her. There goes the right side. Here comes the left side. There it goes. You guys see that? And she literally just passed the most difficult part. Now I have to do this very slowly. She's going to start to pull this up again. And we really want to watch. I'm just going to hold it here for a sec. We're going to do this really slowly with her. Okay, I see her pulling her neck up. And now she's going to move. She's pulled it up. The right side of her jaw underneath. Rich, I'm not too sure if you can see that yet. I am going to pull this up even farther though. We're just starting really slowly with her. You'll see under here on the right-hand side, you're going to see her jaw come up on the right-hand side. She always goes with the right side and the left side. And look at right here, this pink thing. Watch this, right where my finger is. Whoops. Right there. Watch this. This is her glottis. That is the opening of her windpipe. Right there sticking out. Watch it. It's there. It's open. She's breathing. Right there. If you can see that, she's breathing right now. This is why snakes can't choke to death. Their glottis, the opening of their windpipe, is in their mouth. And look, right there, one side of her bottom jaw, right here. The other side of her bottom jaw is right here. Now watch. Again, she's going to use her neck, glottis, two sides. You can see it's opened up in the middle. Now she's using the muscles in her neck, taking a breath again. There's her glottis. And now, watch this. Using the muscle in her neck, she's going to continue to pull her bottom jaw up. Look, and the jaw comes back together in the middle, everybody. It does not detach there. It's never attached in the middle, everybody. She has two separate sides. Now you can see the two defined sides of her bottom jaw. She does breathe through her nose, but when she does, her mouth has to be closed, and she pushes the glottis into the roof of her mouth. Now, experience tells me that she's going to want another goat. Remember what I said before? If it's moving, giving off heat and smells like a goat, what is it? It's a goat. So for her, the most dangerous time to be around a snake like this is right after you fed them. Because right now, what do my hands smell like? I literally smell like a goat. So the second she's done eating, we need to get out of her habitat, because not that she's not friendly, and that's a relative term, but millions of years of instincts have taught her that food doesn't just come in front of your face every single day. An absolutely incredible reticulated python. Look, she's wrapping around my hands. Again, just instinctively, she's starting to wrap around my hands, and she wants some more food. Everybody, if you love this video, if you love this video, again, if she's moving, we need to be careful. Everybody, if you love this video, please like, please share, please subscribe to our channel. Sorry, sweetie, you're an amazing snake. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Everybody, thanks so much.